American unions have put the brakes on another controversial measure from Donald Trump to slash government spending. The unions won a temporary court order to stop the US president's plan to gut USAID, the world's largest single aid agency. But already, international programs have been frozen. Simon Mersep has the latest.
It's the world's biggest provider of humanitarian aid, with a $40 billion budget. But at USAID's head office, the signs are covered up, the flags come down. The agency is crippled, guilty, says Donald Trump, of wasteful spending on a grand scale.
It's absolutely obscene, dangerous, bad, very costly. I mean, virtually every investment made is a con job.
A few weeks ago, the president froze its funding, effectively shutting it down.
We have stories of kids who are going in for their TB medicine, and the first 3 kids in a long, long line waiting out in the hot sun got the TB medicine, everybody else told to go home.
For example, in Ethiopia, we have 5,000 public health worker contracts that are funded by U.S. assistance, and all of these in all regions of Ethiopia have been terminated.
Trump wants to put most of the agency's 10,000 employees on leave. But that plan hit a road bump today when unions won a temporary court order to delay that process for a couple of thousand workers. USAID's supporters also point out only Congress can legally close the agency. But the president has no intention of reining in Elon Musk, the world's richest man who's charged with cutting federal spending.
He's finding tremendous fraud and corruption and waste.
He says Musk has new targets in his sights.
But he will be looking at education pretty quickly, and he will be looking at military too.
Such is Elon Musk's apparent influence, Time magazine's put him on its cover, sitting behind a desk at the White House.
Mr. President, do you have a reaction to the new Time magazine cover that has Elon Musk sitting behind your resolute desk?
No. Is Time magazine still in business? I didn't even know that.
The president sang a different tune when he was on the cover recently.
It's been an honor, and every time it's an honor, I will tell you.
Whether USAID can continue is uncertain. What seems clear is Donald Trump's determination to keep testing the limits of presidential power.
This is a 90-day freeze through which it allows us now to review programs. You know, before we did the freeze, we couldn't find out anything about some of these programs. And USAID in particular, they refused to tell us anything. We won't tell you what the money's going to, where the money's for, who has it, which contractor it's been. You know, in some cases it goes through 4 different contractors before it reaches the intended recipient. In some cases with USAID, 10, 12, 13%, maybe less of the money was actually reaching the recipient, and the rest was going into the overhead and the bureaucracy. This isn't my money. This is taxpayer money. So we're not going to eliminate foreign aid. We're going to have foreign aid that makes sense. We're going to have foreign aid that works. We're going to have foreign aid that furthers the national interest.
They're not eliminating foreign aid, okay? That's a wake-up call for Democrats. That was Secretary of State Rubio revealing more detail about how USAID abused taxpayers. They spent about 90% of taxpayer money on overhead, the bureaucracy, not foreign aid. But we got new disturbing details out of a report from the Inspector General for USAID, warning that it was more than likely giving taxpayer money to groups overseas with links to terrorism. Let's welcome to the show Senator Ron Johnson from Senate Homeland Security and Senate Finance. Let's show the viewer what we found. Let's dig into this, Senator. This is a problem. They don't vet the money, the IG warned, that they give to subcontractor groups overseas. No database tracking how they're giving out the money. No one's vetting it. One report suggests over $122 million of taxpayer money were funneled into groups aligned with Islamic terror organizations in Gaza, Syria, and Afghanistan. Senator, is that what you're hearing? Thanks for joining us tonight.
We are, and let's face it, Elizabeth, this is just the tip of the iceberg. The federal government last year spent $7,000 billion. That's up from $4,400 billion just 6 years ago. The federal government is completely out of control. This should surprise no one. And the fact of the matter is these agencies, they are not accountable. They are run by unelected bureaucrats. There's all this misplaced outrage about Elon Musk being unelected. Yeah, but at least he's reporting to a duly elected president. These bureaucrats, oftentimes leftist partisans in these organizations, spent the first Trump administration undermining, trying to sabotage his efforts. President Trump is trying to prevent that from happening now, and we are very quickly starting to see just, again, the tip of the iceberg of the waste, fraud, abuse, these funds being misspent.
Are any Democrats talking about what the USAID Inspector General warned? So we're seeing a quarter of their program funds, about $8 billion, goes through international organizations like the UN. But we know that USAID exempted UN agencies from having to vet who gets the money in places like Gaza. I mean, so we're talking potentially maybe the Taliban, you're talking Hamas and other terrorist groups could have pulled in nearly $1.4 billion in total under Biden alone. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, Elizabeth, all this money is going to fund leftist gravy train. And so Democrats aren't outraged by this. What they're outraged by is Elon Musk. He's unelected, and their allies in the legacy media are also, all this misplaced outrage about an unelected person. Well, again, the bureaucrats are unelected. They're not accountable to anybody. They don't provide the American public information through their elected representatives here in Congress. Who else can investigate that? So, again, I applaud Elon Musk. I applaud the Trump administration. I applaud President Trump for taking bold, swift, and decisive action to start reining all this stuff in. This is why he was elected.
Yeah, it's really shocking. I don't think the U.S. taxpayer voted for any of their money to go to fund terrorists overseas. That's what the fear is. The IG is warning about USAID. Senator Ron Johnson, thank you so much for helping us out with that story tonight. We appreciate you very much.